From Epic Toys, formerly Chella Toys, this is their brand new retro-style take on the British Bulldogs, one of the greatest tag teams of all time, featuring the Dynamite Kid, Tom Billington, and Davey Boy Smith, who, I think his name actually was Davey Boy Smith. Point is, the guy who would become the British Bulldog, and the one who we stopped talking about after he threatened to shotgun his wife. But anyway, one of the most famous and influential tag teams of all time. Box looks great, looks like the old Hasbro boxes. You can see the figures inside very well. We'll take a closer look at them in just a minute, but here on the back, you can see that they have a collect them all section. Only people who I'm interested in. I already have Demolition. Onita would be cool. Killer Bees, I would like them. Powers of Pain, absolutely. Eddie Guerrero, how did you get the rights to Eddie Guerrero? I don't understand how Epic works. They have apparently a Bobby the Brain Heenan on the way too. Adrian Street, one of my favorites, and Diamond Dallas Page. And then here we have some stats, yada yada yada. Let's actually open them up. Taking a look at these two, and one of my first thoughts is just they look so good. They're very simple figures, don't get me wrong. In fact, they look almost identical, save for a few different arms and skin tones. But they look just like the original British Bulldogs, really fitting in the style of the old Hasbro figures. Epic Toys is interesting, right? My favorites are always going to be Zombie Sailor and then Hastel. Zombie Sailor has their completely own unique style. Hastel makes the figures look just like the original Hasbros every single time. Meanwhile, the Epic Toys, it always feels like, similar to the Mattel Retros, they're more inspired by than anything, and they kind of work when you close your eyes and, very slightly start to squint, but they do work well. Now, taking a look at Dynamite Kid first, I really enjoy this. He looks great. Wonderful head sculpt. We have an articulated waist, rotation at the head, and full around on both arms. We, of course, have one arm that you can use for a punch, or if you want him to taunt. This arm, nice and straight, so you can get him to a few different looks if you really wanted to. Then, of course, you have nice, solid paint all throughout the figure. Here on the back, British flag, and a bulldog. It really looks nice. Davey Boy Smith, I'm not too big on the head sculpt. It is accurate for this time in his career, it's just a bit goofy to me. Alongside that, his two arms. I'm not big on that, he's just always going to have to be posing now. But that's fine. He, of course, has rotation at the waist, and just about the same lower body. These two together, though, look amazing. Tag teams are always something that's cool to have in figure form. We're getting a lot of really cool tag teams as of late. Of course, Hastel gave us the Men on a Mission. Mattel gave us a proper Heart Foundation. We're just on the cusp of getting a few more tag teams like the Rousseaus in just a few weeks. I like them. These guys are great. But now we can actually compare them to some other figures. Comparing Dynamite Kid from this pack with the Dynamite Kid from an earlier wave of Epic Toys, I can honestly say, this one I've never really felt great about. I always thought he looked just a bit goofy, a bit weird with his proportions. This is a much preferred improvement for me. I think he looks better. Granted, I did get the variant that had no cape and a mustache. Maybe I would have liked this better figure more with the cape. But even just looking at the figures, I do think this one, despite being a little less colorful, is the better representation of the Dynamite Kid, at least for my display. And then comparing Davey Boy Smith with the original Hasbro British Bulldog, this is a tale of very different looks, very different eras, very different figures. I do think I still prefer the vintage British Bulldog, just for nostalgic reasons. This figure is fine, and I'm growing to like the arms. It's really just the head that takes me out of it. I wish that maybe they had given him a little bit of a wider grin, made his face look a little bit similar to the original British Bulldog, but hey, the figure is still fine. And then to pair them up with the single tag team that I think they had their best matches with, here they are with the Mattel Retro Heart Foundation. These guys don't really blend together all that well. That's more on Mattel than it is on Epic. But I do think this still looks fine, and it's kind of cool to see these four all together in a similar style at long last. Overall, I think these figures are fine. I think that I got them for $70, meaning that it would have been $35 per figure, which for Epic is on par with their usual single release figures. The thing is, as much as I like these, they're just not wowing me the way a Hastel or especially a Zombie Sailor would in a lot of ways. I think they're worth it, But I think as time goes on and Hasbro and Zombie just continue filling out their lines, Epic is always going to just be kind of catching up at this point, which is weird considering they were the first toy company on the scene doing this after Mattel Retro went on hiatus. So with all that said, I think they're fine, I think they're fun, but I don't know how many more Epic toys I'm going to be looking to pick up going forward.